Hi there, greetings and good evening, everybody. Welcome here to the Prog Monster. My name is Murph and I am the host of this show. So, we're back to do an episode of What's New. Do one every Saturday night, in which I take an album that's released fairly recently, within the last few weeks, normally. Last year it was sometimes a little bit longer because I only had the one show, but now that I got one for Prog alone and one for What's New for the other stuff, I should be able to keep up with it fairly quickly. So the album we're doing today is called Alterbridge, self-titled album. Actually, the band's called Alterbridge. The album is a self-titled album after the band. This is their 8th studio album, released on January the 9th, this year. Recorded at 5150 LA studio, the Van Halen studio in LA, and Studio Barbarossa in Orlando. So this band is, of course, a Florida band too, so it makes perfect sense to me that they would record in Orlando. It's about 60 minutes or so, 61 minutes in length, on the Napalm record label, produced by Michael Elvis Basquet. So featured in the band, Miles Kennedy on lead vocals, electric guitar, strings, and keyboards, Brian Marshall on bass, Scott Phillips on the drums, and Mark Tremonti on co-lead vocals on Trust in Me and Tested and Able, and electric guitar as well. So there are a total of 12 tracks on this album. So overall, I would say the album has a kind of a smooth commercial sound to it. Heavy at times, but melodic at times as well. Kind of feels like a bit of a hard rock metal grunge feel to the album. So the three elements all kind of mixed together. Some of the songs are a little more on the grungy side. Some of them a little bit more on the metal. Some of them a little bit more on the hard rock. At times they're fast-paced, almost a thrash feel to it. And at other times they're kind of slow and melodic sounding. Some decent stuff here. It's probably not a band that would fall within my wheelhouse, but I wanted to give them a try because I'd heard stuff about them. The album was decent enough. I have to say that. I don't know if I would buy it brand new, probably too expensive. But if I saw it, next year or something like that for a reasonable price, I would probably grab it. Overall, some pretty strong guitar parts. The guitar is the primary instrument on the band. The drums giving that heavy feel at times and background feel at other times. To me, the bass doesn't feel prominent or forward or even really noticeable on the album. That's probably a good thing because it's filling in the rhythm section, so you're not going to hear it. It's not a forward type bass sound to the album. So anyways, sorry, I got something in my eye now. So anyways, we're going to break down the tracks a bit here. So we have the opening track, which is called Silent Divine. Nice, catchy, heavy guitar riff, metal sounding for the most part here. The vocals more in the mid-range, clear, a little bit on the husky side, but also very smooth, and also on the high-end side at points throughout the song too. It does have a metal, almost grunge-like feel to it. The solo is a little bit more on the metal side, with that kind of tapping sound almost going on here. Overall, a pretty smooth sounding song. Next up is Rue the Day, another heavy melodic guitar part. Vocals are deeper in range, a little bit deeper in range. It does get higher at some points along in the song, but it isn't a dominant part. Overall, it's a pretty catchy song. I think the vocal parts at times are melodic in sound. It's got a hard rock, almost a grunge feel to it. The solo, again, very commercial sounding, very melodic sounding. Next up is Power Down. This may be one of the weakest tracks on the album. I didn't care for this one. It really was difficult for me to follow it because it wasn't terribly memorable. It opens up pretty heavily, fast paced. Some keyboard parts in this particular track, though. The vocals are commercial sounding, sound clear, frontal, pretty dominant, I think. The solo is distorted, smooth, nice heavy clearing sound. Nice heavy, clear sounding guitar part. It's basically a fairly solo, melodic kind of commercial sounding metal like solo. Next up is Trust in Me. This is heavily distorted, melodic riff with some screechy like guitar solos going on. Vocals again, kind of melodic, come out of commercial sounding. Multi-guitar riffs. Again, another commercial kind of metal sound going on here as well. Typical solo, nothing very special in that regard. It does have a twin vocal part in it, which is a little bit more interesting, but overall the song is not particularly noticeable to me. Next up is Disregard It. Vocals. Yeah, I would say they're a little bit got that kind of a clear grunge feed to them, or sound to them, I guess. A little bit distorted guitar part, heavy distorted, almost thrash-like guitar part at the beginning, but then moves into a more distorted kind of guitar part that's a little slower. Fast-paced grunge-like track. To be honest, that's the best way to describe this track. Nothing terribly noticeable at song or memorable about it, but it's a decent enough track. Next one is Test It and Able. This is a kind of a heavy, beefy opening guitar riff, actually quite heavy. The vocals are clear, smooth, very commercial sounding, very melodic, slow guitar solo. Heavy, beefy to close. It gets heavier again at the end. Opens heavy, gets heavier at the end. Not a bad track. So now we're on the back half. I think the front half of the album is stronger than the back half, but it's not a landslide. It's more, instead of being more like a drop, it's probably just more of a smooth slide down. What Lies Within, which is the first track of that part. I would say this is a bit of a low, distorted guitar riff going on here. Smooth vocals, again, commercial sounding. The song is about I would say this track is a bit more melodic than most of the tracks on the album. It tends to be a little bit more on the faster pace side than on the slower pace side. This particular song doesn't fall in that, though. Hang by a Thread, maybe the last good track on the album. It's melodic. The vocals are clear. It's almost a country-like feel to this track. I wouldn't say it. You would never say this was a country song, but it definitely has that kind of country-ish feel to it. And I think a lot of that's because of the kind of twin vocaling part that goes on here. Very strong and very forward. That's the dominant part of this song, is the vocals. This track is a bit of a quieter country feel to it overall, like I said. It does pick up tempo as it goes along, but not terribly so. It doesn't skyrocket or go crescendoing off a cliff or anything like that. It's just a smooth transition from a more melodically slow song to a little bit faster paced pick up our tempo part. Next up is Scales. Scales Are Falling. This is a low guitar opening. It does pick up a little and gets a little bit more heavier, like, I guess, but there's a little bit more synthesizers in this track than some of the other ones as well. The vocals are typical, clear, commercial sounding. It does pick up some more as it goes along. Very commercial, hard rock sounding song, though. Solo's a little bit more on the slow end, I would say, maybe a little bit on the mellow part as well. Next up is Playing Aces. This one is one of the shorter tracks on the album, just over 4 minutes. Little nice beefy opening, fast-paced, typical sounding vocals here for the album. It's got a clear sound, hard rock feel, grunge feel to it. And the solo is more of a melodic and not really specially notable guitar solo, but decent enough. Next track out is What Are You Waiting For? Starts out with a kind of distorted, heavy, beefy guitar sound going on. The vocals are very commercial sounding. Again, not super memorable. One of the weaker tracks on the album. There's a couple tracks I think, they pass, but just barely. There's not really anything terribly memorable about them. And then we end up with the longest track on the album, and apparently one of the longest tracks in their history, Slave to Master. It's got a nice low-end, slow guitar part to start. The vocals are kind of whispery, soft-sounding at the opening anyways. There is a twin vocal sound, which is good here. It does pick up pace and get faster and heavier with the guitars as it goes along. And the vocals, of course, get smoother and faster paced as well, and does crescendo out. And there's kind of a bit of a lengthy melodic guitar solo at the end, too. It's probably one of the longer solos on the track. So overall, I would say it's pretty much what I thought it was going to be. It's got a fairly significant grunge element to it with a metal flavor, and at times the metal flavor is lessened to almost a hard rock feel. Overall, I would say this is more of a grunge album, though, than any of the others, but does have like an infusion of a fair amount of stuff. A very commercial, good production, smooth sounding, very standard kind of smooth sounding voice. It's a pleasant voice for sure. Anyways, that's my take on this album by Alterbridge, their self-titled 8th studio album. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of What's New. And please hit the like and subscribe. If you want to comment about Alterbridge's album, you can. Or if you want to talk about something related to it, you can do that as well. So a couple of these guys, because I didn't note this at the beginning, had actually came from Creed. They were part of Creed. So it's not totally strange for them to sound like this. They have some of that sound going on as well. And yeah, overall pretty good. So anyways, you can make those comments in the comment section if you want to. And I will see you all next week for another episode of What's New. Take care and have yourself a good evening.